And we're live. It's Tuesday. I'm Eddie Stone. Nice of you to join me. Hope that everybody's had just a wonderful day. This is our first time to do one of these in the evening hours, and so hopefully that will meet some of the schedules that are not just individuals getting back from a long day's work, but we're actually connecting with people really across the globe. And so we've got different time zones we're trying to pay attention to. So hopefully this will help some of those individuals that didn't get a chance to plug in before. Today's live is one I think that's really crucial for people that are advocates for our products. They really enjoy, what they're doing, the interactions with the organizations. By the way, we really appreciate your loyalty and the love that you share with us. They're individual persons, though, that would like to develop enough of a customer base that their products are essentially paid for. I hesitate to use the word free. I mean, I hear that kind of thrown around sometimes, but essentially you've done some things that allow your products to be paid for. And here's what I've learned in my nearly 30 years of experience. It's not as difficult, I think, as people think it is to do that. And so I've got really just 6 simple steps. Now, for those that stick around towards the end, I've got some bonus things, some pro tips I'll throw at you for those that want to take this to the next level. But a lot of this is about doing what you already do. You're already taking the products, you're enthused about it, things have happened for you. And then it's just about thinking about or consciously recognizing that one of your roles here would be to join in those natural health conversations that happen every day all through life, whether that's in person. We've got the holiday season coming up. We all know that there's going to be plenty of discussions around the Thanksgiving table and during the various holidays, end of the year, Christmas, and as well as Hanukkah and others. And so we know these are kind of things that are happening. And so it's just a question of developing your comfort with someone says, hey, you look great, and learning how to go, thank you. I've lost 10 pounds, right? Or whatever that may happen to be for you. Or someone says, gosh, I just got over a cold. I struggled. It took me forever. And say, I am so sorry to hear that. I can't remember the last time I got sick, right? Invariably, somebody's going to ask you a detail about that. You're going to want to know, just exactly what happened. Or for me, this has been a big one. People will talk about their backs hurting. And for those that have known me for a number of years, I've really struggled with some back issues. And so I'm able to say, hey, you know what? Mine used to hurt too, but I've started using CBD oil and it's made all the difference in the world, right? So it's just developing that aspect of being able to join the conversation in a natural way. This is all about authenticity and what it means for you. So that's sort of the basic points there. So what are the 6 keys that we need to focus on? Well, number 1, you have to start. And I know that sounds incredibly elementary, but often we can sort of have these thoughts, I'm going to do this, I'm planning to do this, but truly, you just got to pick a point and get started. Sort of make a determination, this is a start point for me, and you go about developing that advocacy base that you're working with. Number 2, you've got to be a product of the product. And as simple as that sounds, it's all about developing routine, using the products on a regular basis, and getting to know the products that you're using. If you're like me, in many cases, and a lot of people I know, sometimes you can be using something but not really paying attention to, what you're using, right? You know cursory, but you don't really know your product. So don't think about that you have to learn the entire product line. I mean, it's not that large, but you don't have to do that. But you do have to have some knowledge about what you're doing. And going to the shop page is a great way to learn about the various benefits and features of the products. Not that that is what this is all about. This is just about developing some competency with what you're using it. And then just as important, or maybe more important, why you're using it, right? When people are talking about health issues, they're talking about a life journey. I was in one place, I was 10 pounds heavier, I was overweight, I didn't fit in the clothes like I thought I would. I'd gone to the doctor and my cholesterol was high, he was beating me up or whatever that happens to be. And then I did something and now my results are this. And so that's the why, right? That's the purpose of what you're doing, right? So know your products, develop some competency, know why, and then learn to share your experience. So that's number 2 in my little list here, right? So start, become a product of the product. And then number 3 is to plug in and stay connected to the organization. And as simple as that sounds, it's easy to get removed given sort of the hectic day-to-day activities, this ultra busy lifestyle that we all use. And so one thing that's important is to stay on top of your connection to the company and the organization at large, because invariably there are tips, there are stories that you hear. One of the most effective ways to develop your business is the ability to share someone else's story that you heard from the organization. And so here's the basics of what I would do in that regard. Number one, plug into our corporate social media account. We have a very active and robust Facebook account, the Touchstone account, very active, robust. Of course, we're on there this evening. We have a very active and robust Instagram account, as well as Twitter, as well as Pinterest. And so we're taking advantage corporately to communicate about new blogs or new products or new events or whatever it happens to be on those social media accounts. And so if you just simply make sure you're plugged into the social media ecosystem that we have, that's all developed and built to keep you connected and aware of the latest comings and goings of the company and the exciting things that are taking place. You can further add to that by reading those emails that we send. We send a couple of emails a week. Most of the time they're focused on a new blog piece that you'll find on our blog page, wonderful articles to support the products and help you develop your knowledge of the products. But I know how email is, right? If you're like me, you sort of wake up in the morning with maybe a minor amount of dread on the volume of what's going to be there. For me, it's mostly just the spam that shows up in my folder. And so oftentimes it can be left behind or a little late before you read something and you're not aware. The social media is one of the ways to cut through that by just simply going to our page and scrolling through what you see there. So stay plugged in. That's number 3. Number 4, use and know the website. This is probably your biggest single asset from a knowledge standpoint. It's where on the shop page, for example, you've got reviews that you can read about the products and what's happening for people. The key benefits are outlined just below at the top header where you see the products, where people are making selections on what they're purchasing. Or you've got standard FAQs, which are a reflection of the most commonly asked questions we're getting through the support center. You'll often find if somebody hits you with a question, you can go to that shop page, look at the FAQ, and have the answer for them almost immediately, or just direct them there yourself. And so the website is one of your biggest assets. So the shop page, make sure you know the shop page of the products that you're using and advocating for. The blog pages, again, you can just focus on those things that you're using. And we have some great blog articles, well written, put together, sort of simple to digest, to understand the benefits of the products. You'll see a lot of wonderful things there. And then finally, at the bottom of all our primary pages on the website, right where you see the contact section, FAQ section, other things like that, you're going to see a resources link that says resources for VBOs and affiliates. This opens up a whole nother world of shareable information and things that you can use to share with your audience that you're talking to about these great products. And so just to quickly review, right? You got to get started. 2, become a product of the products. 3, stay plugged in. 4, use that website. It's completely built for this purpose. And then number 5 is to share. Here's what I would say about that. You can overshare, but you can also undershare. You've got to sort of find that sweet spot relative to the amount of, say, posting you do on a regular basis. If you're a person that maybe post once a month or once a week or something like that, and all of a sudden you're posting every day about the products with the information we have available to you to share, that probably bombards your audience, right? So you've got to find a balance. Oftentimes I hear it's sort of like whatever your personal posting is, if that's, say, 3 times on a weekly basis, then you want to do 1 product share. And you can share reviews, you can share articles, there are all kinds of information there. So get to know the resources page as well as what you see on the blog, and know that sharing via social media creates awareness in your ecosystem, right? The folks that you're around, friends and family and contacts. Sharing blog articles is going to amplify your authority in this regard. I mean, these are terrific blog articles. Lots of them are just simply information about what's common that people are talking about. I mean, we are literally paying attention to the key issues being discussed in today's world about health and nutrition, and that's what we're writing articles about, right? So they are topical and sensitive, and most people extremely appreciative of having gotten a copy of them. And then finally, you can share from the resources page that I mentioned just a moment ago. So sharing is number 5. And then finally, and I think this is the biggest key, use the gift card program. You have gift cards in your back office if you're a VBO and you're active on a monthly basis. And depending upon your other activities, you may have more than 1 or 2, but you've got access to gift cards on a monthly basis based upon your activity, your enrollment of new customers, your enrollments of VBOs in the business. Use those gift cards. You know, our society is accustomed to this kind of thing, you know, when they're thinking about trying something. Even though we offer everything with an unconditional money-back guarantee and we have thousands of 5-star reviews, people can still be a little hesitant. So the gift cards are number 6 here, and I think really the key to sort of push things over the top with your potential customer base. And so just to reiterate, the 6 primary are: 1, get started; number 2, be a product of the product; 3, stay plugged in; 4, use the website; 5, share; and 6, take advantage of the gift card program. And now, as promised, let me give you real quickly here 6 quick, what I call pro tips, right? And we'll come back on later lives and explore these in more detail, but I want you to take these down because these are really critical if you're trying to do more than the average, right? You're really trying to develop something maybe beyond just having your products, your family's products paid for. 1, enjoy yourself. You got to look at this as fun, right? Whatever you do to get paid and earn a check or whatever that happens to be in the daytime, this should be your fun activity, and you should be able to find your voice here and enjoy what you're doing. It's critical. Number 2, don't hold back. Passion really matters. Think about the people in your life that are most influential. Let's say, for example, somebody in your neighborhood goes and sees a movie, right? And if they come out and say, yeah, it was okay, right? What's the chance that you're going to get a babysitter and you and your spouse go out and spend $25 or $30 for the tickets or whatever that happens to be, and then all the popcorn and whatever else you buy, right? So remember, passion really matters. If somebody comes out and says, hey, you got to see this. This is maybe the best movie I ever saw, right? That's the kind of thing that makes a difference. So enjoy yourself. Don't hold back your passions. Number 3, find a pace, a rhythm, and a consistency to your efforts, right? This is really crucial. The influencing people, which is really what we're talking about here, right? Developing influence. There's a number of factors, but your consistency matters to people, if not consciously, subconsciously, right? If you're talking about something 1 month, but then 2 months later, you're not talking about it, but then you're back talking about it a month hence from there, right? That's the kind that causes people to say, well, I mean, what's really going on there? Are they really serious about it? What do they really have there? But if there's a consistency, a rhythm, a pace to what you do, and it's all about what's within your world, your sphere, what's available, your commitment, right? If that's an hour a week divided into 4 parts, or if it's 20 hours a week divided into 20 parts, it's just important to make sure if this is important to you, right? Developing enough of a business base that your products, your family's products are paid for or beyond, then consistency and rhythm are critical. Number 4 with the pro tips, right, is attitude. And as an adult, right, there's a lot of things we could talk about in terms of attitude. The one in this respect that's most important to me is sort of the idea of whistling while you work. This can be an exercise that someone's doing after a 10-hour day at the office or on the job, and then they come home and they've got family obligations and other obligations they've got to deal with. And so maybe this is 30 to 60 minutes in the evening hours when a person's already tired, right? If you can't whistle while you work and find some fun in that, right? I talked about enjoy yourself here as number 1 in the pro tips. Then that's something you want to go back and revisit here, because attitude comes across both directly and indirectly. And whether you realize it or not, people can sense whether you're sincere, whether it really matters to you. And of course, then they're going to take away from that how important it's going to be with them in terms of how they're interpreting it. And then finally, well, not finally, this is number 5, work hard on being better today than you were yesterday. Now, there's a lot of directions we can take that comment, but I'm a big believer in the idea, some call it personal development, whatever you want to speak to it as, is that I don't want to stay static. Now, it's not that I'm taking a college course each night online or something like that, but I just want to make sure with respect to my communications with my family, with my communications to you, with my dialogue with my wife and my kids, I want to make sure that I'm improving my clarity, my listening skills, all these things that are attributes that I believe create influence with not just your family, but the world at large, which is ultimately what helps you develop a team of consumers having wonderful experiences. A lot of it comes from the arc of your own development over time. So listening skills, knowledge, right? Doesn't have to be encyclopedic knowledge, but you're getting better and your competency is improving. And finally, in that regard, your ability to tell a story. When I first started, the way that I knew a presentation was over is when the audience was gone, right? I wasn't a good storyteller. I was a boring storyteller, and I certainly didn't know when to stop. And maybe you're thinking that right now as we're plowing into this live. But learning how to tell a story and being interesting with your facts and figures is important to cut through just all the data we're bombarded with on a daily basis. Now, remember, this is a pro tip. This is not necessary to have your products paid for. You can develop enough success without focusing that. But if you're wanting to go to the next level, that number 5 there, getting better tomorrow than you were today, critical. And then the final thing I'll tell you is that philosophically, right, you got to have a philosophy, sort of a mindset as you approach this. You need to realize that this is a business of sorting and not selling. And the easiest example I can give you is I think about perhaps a waitress or a waiter in a restaurant, and they go around to the various tables and they offer them coffee. Some people want coffee, some people don't want coffee, some people want the coffee with the cream, some just want water, some want decaf. The waiter, the waitress, they don't take any of that personally. They're just looking for someone that wants the coffee in the pot that they have in their hands, right? If they've got the calf versus the decaf. In this case, you're just sorting, you're not convincing, because if you do get good at convincing, most people when they go home and they're outside of your presence, they become unconvinced on their own quite easily. So with that, thank you for spending some time with me on this live. These points will make an impact, right? You get started, become a product of the product, you plug in, stay connected, use the websites, the tools that we have, you share, and finally, you use that gift card program. Those are the things that can carry your business over the top, where your Touchstone products are paid for you. Thank you so much again for being with us. Make this week the best week it possibly can be, and enjoy this journey. And I'll look forward to talking to you again on Friday. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.